I'll often ask clients to throw up on the whiteboard or there in their journal what I call a CIA exercise. And we just, as we're working through a problem, we put things into three different columns. The C is for what they control, the I is for what they influence, and the A is for what they must accept. These are the things that I accept. I used to call that category no control, but I didn't like the mindset of saying no control because that felt very fatalistic to me. Like, well, I can't do
Yeah.
anything about it anyway, so whatever. That's not a great leadership position. I like the accept because it's a conscious decision I make that I don't get to control what happens in the Strait of Hormuz in the spring of 2026. Therefore, I don't get to control what happens to oil prices. Therefore, I don't get to, you can play that out, but when you talk about attitude, I do get to decide, am I going to spend hours of my life on Facebook debating with my friends about it? Or am I going to spend my energy on the things I do control? What's my attitude about that? And if I choose the control category, I find out there are a lot of things that fall over into that influence category, meaning I don't have total control over them, but wow, does my attitude influence maybe the room I'm walking into, or the meeting that I'm having, or the difficult decision I need to make, or the problem I'm going to solve? All of those things are in the influence category because it require other people to participate, but so you don't have total control, and yet you can definitely influence them in a positive way. This is why many of our clients go through a DISC assessment. We want them to understand where their behavioral style has a natural style and an adaptive capacity so that when they are going to shift into that influencer mode, they understand where the levers are that they can pull. What are some of the things they can naturally do to positively influence the environment they're in? I think that's maybe all we can do in many situations. And yet we realize in the simplicity of it, that's maybe what most of our situations require. They require a great attitude and the willingness to explore the difference between I'm going to pour my energy into the things I can control first. I'm going to make sure I influence the things that I can to the best of my abilities. And I'm simply going to accept that there are a lot of things I'm just not going to get to control right now. That's where I think this topic is really interesting because most people will tend to want to solve it with, well, my contingency is a better system or a different system, or my contingency is, well, if this person leaves, then I'll hire that person. All possible, but make sure you don't skip over the attitude piece. I'm so glad that's the one you mentioned first.